This is something new that just popped out, even in the heat.
Hey guys, welcome back to Container Crops, the Scaredy Cat Gardener. Oh my goodness, it's supposed to rain today, so I'm trying to beat the rain, and I hope it does for our plants, but it's a beautiful day here in Zone 7B. Thank you all so much for coming to hang out with me today. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Our summer gardens can be stressful just because it's hot, it's summer, there's more bugs, there's more things that we have to do for a summer garden. But when you get the heat waves like we have right now, most of us are experiencing terrible heat waves, and the heat index makes it even worse. So what can we do to ensure that our gardens still stay healthy and continue to thrive in this heat? I mean, it can be stressful for us under normal circumstances, so now it can be stressful for us and our gardens. So I'm going to share a few things that I'm doing on my garden, and I'm going to take you around my garden quickly so that you can see that most of my plants are thriving. Now, yes, I do have some plants that have been stressed out, but for the majority, they are thriving.
Show off your fantasy reality, whoa, that's yours, but I'll keep doing mine. You'll be living your good life, catch a glimpse from the outside all the time.
Okay, we are back, and before we get started, if you are new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate it. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back once again. I love to see you. Thank you so much, and thank you to all my channel members as well for your faithful, loyal support. Connect with me over on Facebook. My Facebook group is Container Crops. It's for you, not for me. Post the pics of your garden. If you have a question, drop it over there as well. I'd love to see what you have growing on in your garden. I can always be found on IG at the Scaredy Cat Gardener. Okay, I think that's going to do it for our yard work. Hit that button, that subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell. Let's go ahead and talk about what we can do to help our gardens in this heat. So my garden is strictly 100%, at least at this point, a container garden. I absolutely have no plants in the ground. Everything that I am growing is in a container. And so that can be challenging within itself, because on a normal basis, containers tend to dry out faster than your in-ground and sometimes even your raised beds. They dry out much faster. You are going to have to keep them watered, and grow bags dry out even more than a regular pot that you may be growing in. So I did a video once before about watering our container gardens, and I'll link that video at the very end of this one, so be sure to hang around until the end so that you can check that video out too. But the one thing you want to do when it comes to watering is water deeply. Don't just sprinkle a little water on there. Make sure that when you're watering, you water deeply. You can see the water coming out of the bottom of your pot. Now, everybody that has container garden, your pots, no matter what it is, should have holes in the bottom. If it's a grow bag, it's a bag, so water's going to come out of the bag. Wait until you see water coming out of the bottom of your pot. And since it's so hot, let it run out for a minute or two, or a few seconds. You don't have to stand there for minutes, but let it run out for a while so that you know all of your roots are getting watered very, very deeply. Also, sometimes our plants at this type of heat need to be watered more than once a day. So the first watering, you want to come out early in the morning, like I'm out right now, before it starts to heat up outside. Normally every zone is a little different on their time and what's considered real early, because it may still be a little dark in some places, but typically, around 7:30 a.m., if not a little earlier, should be the latest that you come out to water your garden in the mornings. Now, if it needs a second water, you want to water early in the evening. Don't wait until it's dark outside to water, because then there's not enough daylight left to help soak up some of that water, and you don't want your plants, should the temperatures drop a little bit, you don't want them to start to mold or mildew or anything like that. So early evening, not afternoon, it's too hot out there. Also, when you're watering, make sure you're watering the plant's roots, the soil, not the foliage, not the leaves. Don't just take your hose and just sprinkle it everywhere. Get down in there and water from beneath, up under the foliage. That's for morning and evening waterings. Also too, you still, even though it's so hot, you must check your soil in your containers. Don't just assume because it's 100 degrees and it looks like it's dry on the surface that that plant needs a second watering. Check it. Do the finger check down to the knuckle. Make sure that you feel dampness in there. If it's bone dry, then it's going to need to water. So don't assume, you still need to check. Also too, even in containers, a lot of people don't think about mulch, putting mulch in their containers, but even in containers, maybe 2 to 4 inches of mulch at the top will help, especially with this kind of heat. It helps retain moisture, it keeps down the weeds. So these are the things that you can do. Now, it's good to do it in the beginning. You want to apply an organic mulch. If you can do that when you first setting up your garden in the springtime for getting it ready, that's the time to apply it, because the mulch is good no matter what, but it's really good when it gets to this type of heat, and it's good for your soil, but it's never too late. So apply a couple of layers of mulch, maybe 2 to 4 inches of mulch on top of all of your plants. That's going to help your soil and the moisture levels and things like that. So get that mulch in there. Going forward, it may be too late for this particular one for a lot of us, but the type of container that you grow in, and more importantly, the color. If you have dark colored pots, which I do have some, but those are my real large pots, and they retain moisture because they are over 30 gallons. So I have a lot of soil in there, and they're not in absolute direct sun either. So first, if you can move them to a shady spot, by all means, move them to a shady spot. But when you start your container garden, or if you're going to add plants to it, take into consideration you don't want a black pot or dark brown pot. The reason being is just like clothing. When it's hot outside, you typically tend to put on light clothes, or that's what we've taught as we're growing up. Wear light colors in the summertime because dark colors retain heat. Same thing for your pots. If you've got a bunch of black pots, dark brown pots, dark colored pots, I've seen dark blue pots in this color and that color, they're going to retain the most heat. So pay attention to the color of pots that you have. Clay pots are good, natural color stone pots are good because those are all lighter colored pots. Okay, check where you actually have your pots. Are they up against the wall? Are they up against the shed? Are they up against a fence that's a smaller area, more contained area? These are considered microclimate areas, and they will actually raise the temperature of that specific area for at least by 10 degrees. So if it's already 90 degrees and you've got your plants up against the shed or up against a huge fence, and maybe it's radiant heat is coming off of that, or reflective type heat is coming out. A metal building, if you've got your plants up against a metal building or a shed, that's going to probably be reflective heat, and that heat is going to raise that area by probably about 10 degrees. So you want to move your plants away from that so that it won't get that type of radiant and man, I just said it and I lost the term that quick. Radiant and reflective heat. So it won't get that radiant and reflective heat. Pay attention to your plant's leaves. When it is really hot outside, even if you watered in the morning, you may find them drooping, looking a little sad, kind of wilting. It's okay. That's their defense mechanism against the heat. However, if you have to do a second watering, they should pop back up, or at least the next morning when you water, those leaves should perk back up. When the temperatures start dropping, the leaves should perk back up. If they don't perk back up, then you know your plant is probably dehydrated and it needs really, really some serious watering. But even when you water in the morning sometimes, guys, those plants will look just kind of sad. I mean, if, you know, it's like somebody gave me a drink of water and then left me outside in the heat, I'd probably look sad too. So just think of it like that. And one more thing that you can consider, and this is pretty much, it can be now, but pretty much going forward with your container garden, you can install a drip irrigation system. I don't know very much about them, but I am looking into a drip irrigation system for my garden going forward. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after. I don't know yet, but it is something that I am starting to research and look into. So like I said, I don't know very much about it because I'm just starting to look into it for myself. As soon as I know, I'll let you guys know as well. But until then, it is something that you can look into that will help your plants, and you won't have to be running out there. So let's walk around my garden really quick, and I want to show you my plants, because everything that I'm telling you to do right now is what I do on a daily basis. And most of my plants are thriving. I do have a couple in there that just say, you know what, it ain't happening, I'm out. And they're out. But the majority of my plants are doing really, really well, even in this intense heat. So let's go on over to the garden.
So everything you see, we've had 100-degree weather, and my plants are still growing and flourishing. I'm doing everything that I just told you guys to do in the video. I've got lots of things growing on. They're still growing really, really well. No complaints here on this end. Now, is everything in my garden growing? Absolutely not. But these are some things that are growing. Look at my parsley, my Swiss chard. These are my watermelon plants. And yes, guys, I'm growing watermelon in containers. Look at that. Look at how they're flourishing. Tomato plants, like I said, do I have some issues? Yes, I do. Look at those leaves. Look at those leaves. I have issues too, but I don't have as many as I could have. I don't have nearly as many as I could have. Here's a tomato plant that just simply did not make it, no matter what I did. But look at that basil underneath there. I left it there because it provided shade for my basil. Look at that. Look at that beautiful leaf. I've got some new beans growing up. This was my old ones, and now I've got some new ones that are coming in, and look how green and pretty they are. Over here, my carrots, look how they're doing. They're doing just fine in here. Just fine, just fine. Still have some strawberry flowers coming. More herbs over here that are doing just fine. And this is something new that just popped out, even in the heat. So I guess they love the heat. I think this is a cucamelon, but it just popped out. So do we have to take some extra care and pay extra attention to our garden right now? Yes. Yes, we do. But we can do it.
Okay, guys, so that's going to do it for today. Thank you once again so much for coming and hanging out with me. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Do me a favor, help your girl out. Subscribe to the channel. I am working on trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. So if you have not hit that button, please do so. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss anything, because I upload almost daily. Almost. So thank you all once again. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, because that helps the algorithm. And when you help the algorithm, it helps the video gets to be shared out so that more people can get this information. That's my biggest goal, is for everybody to get this information. New gardeners, old gardeners that just don't know, new gardeners that really don't know, and all of us in between. I wouldn't consider myself a new gardener, but I sure wouldn't consider myself an old gardener either. So I'm one of those that's somewhere in between. Share the video out. Let everybody you know, family, friends, and foe, what Pam over here at Container Crops is doing on a daily basis, trying to share this information with you so that we all can have a wonderful, successful garden. And until next time, remember, anywhere you can sit a pot, you can grow a plant. And I'll see you on the trail.